Now moving on, we will be seeing the for loop. Before actually going through the for loop, I would like to introduce you to a function called range. If I say range 5, then basically what it will give you is a list which contains all the numbers ranging from 0 to 5. And this is basically what we will be using in our for loop, because in our for loop, we will be having the syntax like for I in, this is going to be a list. And if I try to assign my range 5 to the list, then basically my for loop will be checking if the I value is present in this list. And if it is present, then it will be executed. It will be printing I. So what we have done a mistake is we have again skipped a colon. And also I need to run this particular line as well. And then I will try to run this because my list will now contain this range. You can also print list now, and it will basically be a list, and try to run this. And you can see that my for loop is performing as expected. All the I values has been printed. So in shorthand form in Python, you will be seeing x range 5, x range 10, or n is very commonly used in your code. Now, the next thing which we will be seeing here is complicating our list to a nested list. Now, what I'm going to do here is I will be having another list inside this list. Let's say 1, 2, 3, and then the second list is going to be 4, 5. And let's keep this short. We have a list inside list, and basically we are having two lists at element 0 of list and element 1 of list. So I can also confirm this with the 1 index and also with the 0 index. Now I will be writing a nested for loop for this. I will be saying for L in list and then have this colon, and by default it gives me a tab, and this means that whatever comes after this is part of if the for loop condition is satisfied. I will say for L1 in L, and then I just want to print the value L1. Once this for loop is finished, then I will be basically mentioning next, and that's all. So let's try to run this thing. What we are expecting the output is we will be basically iterating through this nested list, and for the first list this will be the for loop which will be executed. So we will be printing 1, 2, 3 and next, and 4 and 5. And let's try to run this. So as you can see that we have printed 1, 2, 3 next, and 4 and 5 and next. So this is how you write nested for loop. This is very simple and straightforward. Now what I'm going to show you next is a shorthand version of for loop to create a list which are very commonly used. Imagine we have to create a list called result, and what we are going to do basically is have a for loop from I in range. And one more thing which we can also do with the range is we can pass two parameters. So it will be basically having a range of lists created from 1 to 11. And within this for loop, I will be saying x equal to 27 into I, and x is the new variable, and I will be basically appending the value to my result list. So I can say append x, and then at the end I will be printing this values. You can see that this print statement is outside my for loop, so this print statement will be executed once all the for loop execution is finished. So let's try to run this thing, and you can see that we have a nice list where with each iteration of I from 1 to 11 we are basically multiplying it with 27. Now what if I want to write this code in single line? Now in Python we have a shorthand notation to represent this syntax in a single line. So the syntax will be basically I will be making this part come out as what I'm trying to do. So I will be saying 27 into I for I in range, and I will be basically having a range of 1 to 11. So you can see that the same syntax which we have written in 5 to 6 lines is coming down to a single line. Now in the similar situations, if I can complicate this syntax, so let me try to make it a little more complicated with if conditions, then I can also say if x is bigger than 5, and I will be basically making an indentation, adding a tab here. So this is basically part of the if. So here I need to mention I, because we are basically comparing it with I, which is what we are ranging or looping through. If I is bigger than 5, then only perform this. So we will be basically skipping till we got I as 5. And you can see that we have this smaller list. Now, if I want to create the shorthand notation for this, then we will be just mentioning the if condition after the for loop. So which will be if I is greater than 5. So let's try to run this thing, and you can see I get the same output. Also, I can further complicate it if I want to have another for statement here. So I can say for j in range 2 to 5, what next we will do is we'll just print this, and we are getting a nested for loop list created. So basically what it is doing, for every I from 1 to 11, it is executing the j part of the for loop, which is basically creating a loop from j equal to 2 to j equal to 5 and creating the output as a list by appending it into result. So the same thing I can do here if I have a simple for j in range 2 to 5. Now this is very straightforward because your basic operation which will happen inside is coming first, and then your first for loop, then your second for loop, and then if any if condition is mentioned. So you have the main core operation in the beginning, and after that the sequence of for loop will be in the nested form. Now once you get a hands-on of all the syntaxes, mainly you will be facing challenges if you are new to Python with this missing colon or having the indentation correct. So you have to focus a little bit and practice until you get that correct. Now in the next section, we will be looking into functions and how to create user-defined functions. So let's go ahead and do that.
Hey there, check out UI5CN for awesome hands-on courses on enterprise technologies like SAP and more. To watch similar videos, subscribe to UI5CN YouTube channel.